Hi everyone and welcome back to Maths and Physics Maths Assignments. Today's grade 12 inverse functions lesson. We're looking at the parabola and how to find its inverse. Alright. So, determine the inverse function if it's given that f of x equal x squared. So I assume you remember when x is squared we're dealing with a quadratic function, a parabola. So first process, we're going to swap x and y like in all the others when it's a straight line. So my y there becomes x and my x there becomes y. Then I have to make y the subject of the formula. So I'm going to find square root on both sides. Remember, square root of x will be plus minus, right? And therefore we have y equal plus minus square root x. Now from nature of roots, the x underneath the graph cannot be negative, but here in exams they allow you to write up to there. Right, so the expression under the square root, the radicand must be greater or equal to 0. So the radicand condition, x there must be greater or equal to 0, because if it's negative, there is no roots, there's no solution. Right, but this part here we don't do at school. I'm just explaining it so you understand it. Plot the function and its inverse function on the same set of axes. Clearly indicate the intercepts and another point on the graph. Right, so 1 squared would give me 1, 2 squared would give me 4, same thing this side, minus 1 squared would give me 1, minus 2 squared would give me 4. If I plot the inverse, 0 and 0 stays 0 and 0, 2 and 4 would become 4 and 2, and 1 and 1 stays 1 and 1. Alright, then we had negative 1 and 1, which becomes 1 and negative 1, and then we had negative 2 and 4, which then becomes 4 and negative 2. So if we plot all that points, there we have the inverse. Right? 3, we asked this question every other occasion. I've therefore included it. What type of reflection does the inverse function undergo? It's always reflection about the line y equal to x. So that pink line, that is where we reflect it. Domain and range. Right, so 4 is the inverse of function. So if you remember from the previous lesson I've done, parabola, the inverse is not a function. So number 1, no, 1 mark. 2, it fails the vertical line test. So if we throw a vertical line through there, it will touch in more than one place. Right, if we say 3 marks in exam, then you can say the original function is a many-to-one function. And the inverse is one-to-many relationship, where we swap many to one and one. They take up its places, so one-to-many relationship. Domain and range of the original graph f of x. Domain, x element of real numbers. Range, the graph there was pointing up, so y greater or equal to 0. Now if we find the domain and range of the inverse, for the inverse, we swap the x and y. So therefore, this would read x greater than 0. That would read y element of real numbers. So the inverse reflects about line y equal to x. Therefore, x and y values interchange. We never ask both of them, but you need to understand the concept of how I've swapped them around. Now, restrict the domain of the inverse function to show it's a function. So number 1, this is not a function because it has positive values there and it has negative values there. So we say x greater or equal to 0. Therefore, we restrict domain. So we have y equal negative square root x, or we have y equals square root x. So there, because I made it positive, I only plot the positive value. And if I do a vertical line test, it only touch the graph once. Therefore, it is a function. The radicand condition automatically stays x greater or equal to 0, meaning under the square root x must be positive, but domain here x greater or equal to 0. Or let's say y equal negative square root x, again radicand condition, x greater or equal to 0 under the square root, but now my domain x less or equal to 0, so now I only plot the negative part, and if I draw a vertical line, only touches once, therefore it is a function. Hope you understand and follow what I've explained. God bless. Bye.